Hi guys, and welcome to another Bootstrap 4 video. This is Jamie from System22 and webdesignandtechtips.com. Well, we're going to continue on with our Bootstrap Basics theme here. We built this site. Yesterday we created our second page, our About page, added a page. Today let's add a page header bar that'll make this stand out. A bit like our slider kind of makes this one stand out. Let's put a little header bar that we can use on all the rest of the pages too. And another thing I'd like to do today is our little logo right here. When I click on it on any page, I kind of want it to take us back to the home page. So we'll do that first, then we'll create our header bar. So let's open our index.html in our text editor. Here's our file we created, or folder we created initially, with our index.html, our about page, .about.html, and a custom CSS file. We're going to be editing the HTML and the CSS today. So let's open up our brackets text editor and open up our files. Brackets is a free text editor. You can download it from a link below this video if you need a text editor. It is awesome, has some great features. But if you already have a text editor, you can follow along just fine with any text editor. So here's our pages. Here's our index.html. Here's our custom CSS with our styles for our site. And here's our about page. So what I'm going to do, the first thing I want to do is fix that logo. And that's our navbar brand here. And at the moment it's just got a link of hashtag which will take it to the top of the page. Let's put the link there as index.html. And that will take us to our home page every time we click on the logo. And of course we've got to do this for every page that we've got that logo on. Let's do it for our about page. There it is. And also yesterday we changed the title of the page. I didn't explain what that actually did. There's the title. We changed our about to about us, funnily enough. Save that. Let's go back to the site and refresh. If you look up here, it says my Bootstrap site. If we look at our thing here, let's go to the about page, make sure this is saved. Our title on the about page should be about us. So on the home page it's my Bootstrap site. When we go to the about page, you see it changes to about us. That's what that title change does there. Now when I click on this, it should take us back to the home page. There we go, that's just what we want, and it'll do the same on this page obviously. Alright, let's get styling. So let's open up our index.html on our about page, and just under the navbar here, there's the end of the navbar right there, before our bit of text there that we left in. I'm gonna create a new section. I'm going to give it an ID so we can tag it or use it for CSS. I'm going to give it an ID of ID equals, what should we call it? Page header's far too long. Let's PHDR page header. There we go, that'll do. Call it anything you want as long as it's unique. IDs always have to be unique. And remember what you called it. So it's PHDR, page header, sort of abbreviation. Alright, and inside here, I'm actually going to copy our footer here because we've got a row with 3 sections in it, which is just what I want. So I'm going to go from the opening div here. With brackets, you click on our opening div, it'll show you the closing div, so we need all of that inclusive to get our 3 columns. Of course, I could just write it out again, but anything to save a bit of time. Now the content, I'm going to just delete the content. And I'll delete that class of SMED, social media. So we basically and we don't need those. That logo. So now we've got a row with 1, 2, 3 empty columns if I get rid of that bit right there. Okay. So what do we want in our columns? Well, first thing we want in the middle, so we got a left, middle and right. Let's put a heading 2, and if you remember, we styled our heading 2s to look a certain way, so we'll probably have to change this. And so I'm going to put heading tags, and in between I'm just going to put the name of the page. And on the right, why don't we have some breadcrumbs on the right? Now all those are is paragraph text with a link involved. So if I open paragraph tag, and inside we put home, which is kind of the root of where you want things to go all the time. And then I'm going to put a space, I'm going to put a pipe, which is usually above the enter key. A lot of people don't even know where the pipe is. It doesn't get used very often. Above the enter key usually on US keyboards. And the name of the page we're actually on, which is about. Now to make these work as a link, at the moment they're just going to be writing up there, and when you mouse over them they won't do anything. To make it a link, this first one, we need to wrap it in an anchor tag to make it a link. So we'll open an anchor tag, A, and a href, because we want to tell it where it wants to go, equals, and inside the inverted commas, we're going to put where we want it to go, which is home, which is index.html, which is our home page file. So when you click on the home part, once I wrap the other side of it in, it'll take you back to the home page, which is what most breadcrumbs do. So I'm going to cut that closing A tag and put it the other side of the home page there. Control X to cut, Control V to paste. There we go. So we've got our paragraph text, then an opening anchor tag with the address we want it to go to, and in between the opening and closing we've got the paragraph, the bit of text that we want to affect, and then afterwards we've got a space, a pipe, a space, and about. So let's save that and see what we've got here. It's not going to look very interesting, but there should be something there. Control S to save. Back to the site. Let's go to our about page. There we have it. We've got our about us right there, and we've got our home, and as you can see it's a link, and about, which is not a link, which tells you the page we're on. Okay, well that's worked, but we want to make it stand out, and what I want to do today is give it a colored background. But I think what I'll do is I'll give it a gradient that using these two colors, perhaps the blue and the purple there. So let's do that. We know we gave our section ID of PHDR for page header. So let's address that. Let's do that. Give it a background. So if we give it a background color, it's going to affect that there. So to our custom CSS, I'm going to put this under our slider because it's kind of a page heading. In fact, I think I'll put it above our slider. Here's the slider. Let's drop down a couple from the one above. Give it a new title. / **/ and in between, let's write your title. And we'll say page header. Now our ID was called PHDR for page header. Now it's an ID, not a class. Classes always have a period in front of them. IDs have a hashtag. So it's hashtag PHDR. Was it HDG or HDR? I can't remember. Let's have a look. PHDR. Okay. Header, not heading. Okay. There we go. Got to spell it right. If you don't, it won't work. Right. Open and close some curly brackets. Now we want to give it a background color, but we want to use two colors. We want to make it a gradient. Now to do that, we just need to type in background image. And I will put this CSS code below the video, so don't worry about copying it while I'm writing it here. You can just copy it and use it from below the video. And just close those out. After the colon, we want to put linear gradient dash gradient. Then we want to tell it the colors that we want it to actually use, which is our blue and purple. So we need to open some round brackets and put our first entry in there. Where's my buttons? I'm going to copy the colors from those. Here we go. That's how useful the titles are. Okay, so we got, don't want the red, I want the blue first. And there it is. I'm going to copy that hex code. Control C. Let's go back up. Put the first one in there, put a comma after it, and then get our purple, which was the next color. Usually when I'm building a site, I'll have a little notepad with my colors I'm using in it, so I don't have to search for them, but this we're kind of doing on the fly. Okay, so we've got our second color. So let's just paste it in after the comma. There we go. Put a semicolon after that just in case we want to add some more code. And let's save and see what we've got. Control S to save. Let's go back to our site and refresh. There we go. As you can see, we've got this sort of gradiated or gradient background here with the blue at the top and the purple at the bottom. You could add a new color. You can have the colors going left to right. But that's going to work for me. I want it going top to bottom. I've got my blue on top and I've got my purple on the bottom. Our breadcrumbs are actually there. And our title is just there. But remember, we gave the H2s are all going to look like that. We just need to make a change because we want something like that, but we want it to be white so it stands out. And also these breadcrumbs, we want them to stand out. I want to make them white and I want to move them down a bit. So to do that, what we're going to do is we're going to give this a class of its own that we can target, and we'll make a class up that'll turn that white in color. So let's do that straight away. So let's go back to our about page, and here's the things we need to affect. Here are the breadcrumbs. So I'm going to give this a class of bread. So we can target our breadcrumbs and turn them white and move them around. And this H2, we'll have to do a whole new class to make this right. So let's save that with our little class name there. And let's go to our custom CSS. If we look up the top of our typography up the top here, we've got H2. I'm going to copy this whole thing because we want basically this, but we just want a white version of it. So at the moment our version is whatever color that is, blue. Okay, and we'll go back down to our page header. I'm going to paste that just under our background there. Now I'm going to change this class from H2 to H2W for white, and I'm going to put a little dot in front of it or a period. Now I'm going to change this color to white, FFF, or 6 Fs, but CSS 3. If it's 6 the same, we just need to put 3. Okay, so we've got that class and we've told it wants to be a certain color, so we now need to add this class to our H2 on that page. Let's save, Control S. Here's our H2. Let's give it a class. Have you guessed it? That name we just did. So it's H2W, H2W for white. So that's now got a class of H2W, and that has now got a class of bread. So we can write in the bread, we want that to be white, I know that much. So we'll put that in, Control S. And the rest of it we're going to do live with our Chrome inspector. So let's add our bread class, so it's a period, bread. Open and close some curlies. And I'm going to say color white. Again, FFF. Alright, let's save that. We should see some changes straight away. Control S to save. Let's go back to the site. Refresh. Now our About Us should turn white, and so should at least the About Us page of the link there. Let's refresh. There we go. That's fine, and a default link color is going to be blue like that, so I want to make that white and change it, so we'll deal with that. And obviously we need to push these down, so let's do that with the Chrome inspector here. I'm going to right click and hit inspect on the About Us here. It'll bring up our Chrome inspector tab here. There's our H2W class. And what I want to do is add a bit of margin to give it spacing, and I can add, instead of a margin bottom of 50 pixels, I'm going to have just margin, and I'm going to have top and bottom. I could leave it like that, so it's margin 50 pixels, but that's all sides, so I've got 50 top, bottom, right and left. I just want top and bottom, I don't want any right and left, so I'm going to say 50 pixels because that'll be top and bottom. Then just 0, and if it's 0 you don't have to put the pix in, it'll still read it as 0. So you've got 50 pixels margin top and bottom and nothing left and right, so if we've got a longer word there it'll be fine. So let's just copy that and put it into our style sheet under our H2W, so margin 50 and 0. I've got the whole thing. I just want the margin itself back there, and replace that one. There we go. Now what do we want to do to our breadcrumbs? We want to bring them down a bit. So let's right click and inspect. Like I say, I'm using Google Chrome. This is the Chrome inspector right here. If you open the inspector, it doesn't look like this. Yours may be on the side or somewhere else. As long as you've got the Elements tab open, you'll see HTML on this side. As long as you've got the Styles tab selected on this pane, you'll see the CSS. Okay, so here's our breadcrumbs. There's our bread class. I want to give it some padding on the top, I guess. Let's try 50 pixels and see how that works out. Okay, not quite as far as we want it to go, so what I'm going to do is left click on that 50 right there, and I can scroll up and down with my mouse wheel here and put it exactly where I want it. Somewhere like that looks about right. Let's have a look. 60, that look okay? I think so. It's fairly central. So again, I'm just going to copy that one entry, not both of them, and add it to our bread section right here. And the only other thing that we want to do, Control S, I refresh now, that should stay put. Yep. The only other thing I want to do is actually, I want to turn that from blue to white. I mean, the blue's okay, but it's not what I want. And if I use our blue or the purple, it'll probably get lost in there. So I'm going to turn that white. And if we look at it, I'm sure you probably know exactly what I'm going to do here. It's in the div with the class of bread, and it's an anchor tag. So if we target bread A, bread anchor, we can do what we want with it. So let's put a new entry in our CSS. Under the bread here, and we'll call it bread A dot bread anchor. Open, close some curlies. And then all we need to do is tell it what color we want that link to be, which is our steal from above here. Control S to save. Back to the site and refresh. And there you have it. You've got your home is white now, and about is white too. And I think I can get that line to disappear if I tell it no decoration. Let's have a look, see. So let's put in text decoration, colon, none, semicolon. Control S to save, back to the site, refresh. There we go. It's still a link, but we've not got that underline. You can leave it there if you want to. See, the home will link back to the home page. The about doesn't go anywhere. It's the page we're on. There we go. And we can use this header now for all the pages if you're happy with it, and just change out the title and change out the second text right there. So there's how to add a page header to your Bootstrap 4 website. I hope you found that useful and enjoyed it. If you have, please give it a thumbs up, share, comment and subscribe to our YouTube channel. If you're interested in web development, take a look down below. We got some great free web development courses down there, as well as some premium courses with some huge discounts for our YouTube subscribers, so do check it out. Once again, this has been Jamie with System22 and webdesignandtechtips.com. Thanks for watching. Have a great day.